And when that happened, it kind of shifted everything. You know what I mean? Because it created a distance between us that should never been. But again, we was kids, so it's like we us, we this, and you that, and da da da. And you not for outside, but you know, we all don't think about that kind of stuff, man, because it was an unfortunate situation because somebody lost their life during that time. And music should never be something that creates so much hostility where people want to come at each other. I see you around back when I was down. The only two groups I really, and there's no disrespect to any of the other groups, those are my peoples. But the only two groups I really like, whoa, was New Edition. When I first saw New Edition, and we was on the Budweiser Fest with them, and they had the all white and the mic stands that was like tilted, and the hats came from the top of the ceiling. I was like, oh, these cats gonna kill, and they did. It was so precise, so on, and I was like a sponge. I was just looking at stuff, going, okay, and everybody was like, y'all never gonna be better than New Edition.
You mean in terms of showmanship?
Showmanship or anything. They said there's no way y'all can take New Edition down. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So in my little pea brain of mine, I was like, I gotta take New Edition down.
Yeah.
You know, the only way to be great is to give homage to the greatness, and they are great to this day.
That's a fact.
But to also be able to dethrone. They understand that now because we went through that stage, right?
Yeah, of course.
And the only way you can be great is if you can be like the greats. And like I said, New Edition and Tony, when you saw, and God bless Dwayne, when you saw them perform and on the organ and they playing the bass and stuff, they were getting down. So there was a semi-fear and respect of those two groups. But once I started to, you know, it took me a minute to feel myself because everybody was Aaron Teddy, right? And behind the scenes, I was the one like going, okay, we got to do this, we got to do that, do things with the hats, split, flip, jump on the speakers, do all that. I studied them.
Okay.
And I said, we got them. They said, you can't say that, don't say that, man. I said, no, we got them, bro, trust me. Next show, we going to be headlining. And literally, it might have been 4 shows in with us, New Edition, on that Budweiser tour. And then Al Heyman came and said, y'all got to close the show. And that's when all that friction,
so
that we don't talk about, that friction happened. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Why y'all don't talk about the friction? Because I'm sure things are good now, right?
So things are great.
Yeah.
Now, we've been on 2 tours with them recent, right?
Okay.
So we did the Legacy tour last 23. But, you know, it wasn't about the group. It was about the roadies, right? So when we was pulling up from North Carolina coming into Philly, that's when all that stuff happened. Somebody got shot, blah, blah, blah. It was like whole thing. And for me, you know, we were all kids, bro.
Yes.
Like for real.
Of course.
You know, we just really wanted to perform. But when you are on this level, New Edition was on this level. They still on this level. No matter what people go through.
That's a fact.
No matter how you feel about each other. You know, everybody grow up. Everybody become adults and want to be like, no, I'm famous 24/7.
Yeah.
You can't be famous 24/7.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta put that shit aside. You gotta put it aside. And when that happened, it kind of shifted everything. You know what I mean? Because it created a distance between us that should never been.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we was kids, so it's like we us, we this, and you that, and da da da, and you not for outside. But you know, we all don't think about that kind of stuff, man, because it was an unfortunate situation because somebody lost their life during that time. Yeah. And music should never be something that creates so much hostility where people want to come at each other.
Right.
Because literally, we do the music for y'all, for the fans, for the people that really hold us up.
What you think it's funny because that still kind of happens today. It's something about us coming from the hood, right? Our communication skills, our trying to curb issues. We don't know how to confront each other, without the hostility to say, hey, check this out. Let me holler at you, bro. You know what I mean? When you said such and such, man, you kind of made me feel away. Yeah. It becomes this posturing where these minute things, these, kind of innocuous situations can blow up. You know what I mean? So what do you think that y'all could have did different? Is that if y'all could it have been different if y'all was able to talk and say, you know what, bro, it
I
really
mean,
ain't that.
of course, back then, like I said, we were young, and they kept us apart. So you had the role managers and the managers doing their thing, and
So it was everybody else.
it was everybody
wasn't
else.
even really the
It really
people
wasn't
involved.
the group.
Yeah.
But it became something with the group. Like I said, I don't want to, because New Edition don't talk about it, so I'm not gonna go
Okay.
da-da-da-da,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So, but
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm saying is, man, it's like it was unnecessary.
Okay.
And now we all love each other. I'm so happy for them
Yes.
because it's hard to stay around for 40
40
years
years. Yeah.
with each other, up and down. You got 6 people,
Man.
and all of them, either as groups or individuals, are great in their own right. Imagine all that ego. Imagine all that, who's better at this. You got Bobby was up here at one time. I told Bobby, and I say it to this day, I said, look, the second coming of Michael was you. I remember when Michael was like, yo, Bobby is that guy, because he was.
Yeah, he was.
I went to a concert, and I say this every time I do an interview, because there ain't too many artists I really go, oh man, yo, that cat. I'm like, I'm cool. Y'all got music. Some people have songs that y'all groove to, but I'm like, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you got songs, bro, but you ain't really that guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Bobby was that guy.
Yeah. That's a fact.
He was on stage one day, I'll never forget, and he said, I want everybody to stand up, turn around. I was like, there's 30,000 people, they're gonna stand. No, ain't no way they're gonna turn around. Everybody turned around. Boom. And he said, put your middle finger in there and say, kiss my ass. And everybody said, kiss my ass. I said, oh, he is the shit. Like to get people to do that like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that, y'all saw, everybody see videos and saw what he did, how he moved on stage and how he gave himself that, right? He had that hood swag that only he can do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I always tell him, I encouraged him while we was on the road in New Edition. I said, bro, let me tell you something. He said, D, how you think I did? I said, listen, you Bobby, bro.
Yeah.
And if you didn't do anything else ever again, no matter what you going through, no matter what people say, dog, you were great.
That's a fact. I think the timing was just right for Bobby, to do that, because I can remember, of course, I'm younger than y'all, so I'm just a kid. I'm a fan, just enjoying the music. But it was like Bobby came at a time where, everything was polished back then. You know what I mean? Like you had to present a nice guy, nice kid, you couldn't be too dirty. You couldn't, interview. You was media trained. It was like Bobby was like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I want to do, like he said on Prerogative, right? I'm going to gyrate. I smoke weed. You play with me. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to take my shirt off. And I think, that generation, my generation, we was identifying with that.
Yeah.
It was authentic.